Hello, everyone, and welcome to a YouTube video on my channel. I am Nim, and I'm here to basically start a series that I think would be fun, which is basically just me looking at negative reviews of good movies, right? So, a lot of these movies that I'm going to do in this series are going to be specifically movies that I think are really good. Obviously everyone's opinion is different, but I decided to start with The Batman, the new movie, because I actually really like it. It's, I think a very good Batman movie overall. I know not everybody thinks so, but so it'll be interesting to see. Maybe tear apart some reviews, but also, you know, maybe I'll learn something new and gain a new perspective on the movie. So yeah, let's jump into it. Okay. This is where you get the really weird stuff that people kind of throw out there, almost political type of takes or like social justice type of things that start to get really weird. Matt Reeves' mendering faux profound take on Batman spends its overlong runtime telling women to shut up and do as they're told or face the consequences. I don't know where he's getting this. Like, I guess with the character of Catwoman, that's really the only main prominent female character. I still don't know where he's getting this from. Like, yeah, Batman tells her like, yeah, don't kill people, don't use guns, which I mean, that's going to be in any Batman story. That's right. Like, that's a classic thing. That's kind of like, even in like The Dark Knight Rises, there was that scene where he's like, he takes a gun out of her hand. He's like, no guns, no killing. And she's like, what's the fun in that? But like, other than that, I think the movie really doesn't have any sort of negative comment towards women. And I don't really know where you're getting this. Like, literally, the film ends with a woman becoming the mayor, and like it's seen as like a good thing. Like, she's a good mayor, like unlike the previous corrupt mayors we've had. The film presents her as like an uncorrupt good mayor who's going to take charge, which does not fall in line with whatever sort of anti-woman sentiment you are trying to play up here. Um, and yeah, overall, this just doesn't read in the film at all. I don't know what movie you saw, but I don't know if it was the same one. So this one doesn't make any sense. Okay, this one I really don't get. So yes, self-parodic travesties like The Batman could be more original. But even a creative Batman story is still just another Batman story. Isn't it time to give the man a rest? This is sort of just a negative thing on Batman as a whole, saying like, we should just not make any more Batman movies because there's been more than enough. Which doesn't really make sense to me, because it's like the idea of like um every I don't know, in my mind any sort of intellectual property can be used and can be utilized well. You can't sort of overuse something. I mean, you can, in a sense of like, if you use it in the same way, I feel like every time there's a new reimagining of Batman, at least in the live action films, they do a very good job at sort of really doing something new with it, and using the character of Batman to tell a very different story than we've seen before, at least in live action movies. Obviously, it's inspired by a lot of comic stories as well, so it has sort of, a lot of influence there. Uh, but this movie is very different than any other live action Batman movie we've seen. So why is it like such a, if there's more, as long as the filmmakers try to explore something new and interesting with each added film with the character, then why is it bad to have more movies with the character? Like, this sort of sentiment doesn't make sense to me. Like, if it got to the point where every Batman movie was basically the same and it felt like it was just repeating a formula over and over again, if it got to that point, then I would fully understand this opinion. And honestly, also, like, in this day and age, you almost have to rely on big IPs to really, get movies out to a large audience. So if you have a story, a really interesting story, that you can't get made unless you attach it to some big IP, then I mean, might as well do it because you have that option. I think that's kind of what's done here. At least they, yeah, at least they did something new with it. I guess is what I'm trying to get at. If you strip down the character's iconography deep enough, you are left not with a film about capital B Batman, but rather just a sullen sociopath who dresses up like a bat to fight bad guys. Which is what Batman is. He's a sociopath who dresses up like a bat to fight bad guys. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's more to Batman than that, but like to say that, like that to say that this is like it's kind of like because he doesn't have that same level of like superheroism as he does in other versions, this isn't a good enough version of Batman. Even though this film is clearly about Batman sort of learning to become the Batman he should be, or the Batman that we know and love. He's still in that early stage. That's kind of the point of the movie. So, most people don't even refer to him as Batman in the movie. He's referred to as Vengeance in the movie. It's like it's sort of the movie's sort of about him starting out as Vengeance, going through a character arc and becoming Batman. So I don't like I don't understand why this is a negative for you. I mean, I guess if all you want is just a normal version of Batman, classic version of Batman, then I get it, but I don't know. I think I like what they did with it, at least. I think it was more interesting. Okay, this is a controversial opinion. A Batman movie should not be longer than The Godfather. Why not? Why is that? I get that, like, there's this weird thing amongst, some critics and some audience members of like, being just so against long movies. Like, oh, movies shouldn't be this long unless they're like The Godfather, or unless it's Lord of the Rings, or like a special case. And I don't really get that sentiment, because to me it's like a movie, I think no matter what, a movie should be as long as it needs to be to properly tell its story. And the story that this movie told, yeah, I think it needed to be 3 hours. Again, like I said, I can't personally think of any specific things I would have cut out or shortened or whatever. I think you know, I just, it's like this weird thing where it's like as soon as they see that it's 3 hours long, they're already judging it for being 3 hours long before they watch it. So when they go in, they're just like, it's too long. Yeah, I don't get it. Okay, so I think that was enough of the critics' reviews. I think the funny thing about critic reviews, when you look at them, they're typically very, they're you could tell there's a lot of pretentiousness in there, especially in a lot of the way they phrase things. They try to phrase things very eloquently, even if their point is stupid. Um, yeah, but I think it's also fun to see the audience reviews, audience negative reviews, because I think a lot of times with, oh, okay, so yeah, see what I mean? See what I mean? Look at this. Look at this. I was talking about how audience reviews can go crazy, and I automatically got this. Literally, but yeah, so you're just kind of like throwing up, and Robert Pattinson. So what I'm wondering is, what's your opinion on Robert Pattinson? Because you're saying, oh, there's a bunch of gross stuff plus Robert Pattinson. So Robert Pattinson isn't the gross thing? I mean, I there's just nothing to make of this, because it's like, okay, you think the movie's gross, I guess. Why though? I don't know. But whatever. I turned it off. Not even halfway. Visuals, yes. Soundtrack, yes. Twilight Boy, please never do a superhero movie ever again. Hope they are not doing a trilogy at all with him. Well, they are, so sad for you, I guess. Please bring even Val Kilmer or George Clooney, shoot. He is that bad, and I'm actually an easy to please movie aficionado. Are you though? I don't, I think this is another thing I expected from audience reviews specifically, was the idea of just being like, oh, Twilight Boy? Oh, like, it's this weird thing where even to this day, it's been so long since Twilight, and Robert Pattinson has been in so many other movies and shown his range and his good quality acting skills. Yet people still hold on to this view of him as just, oh, he's just the the guy from those dumb girly vampire movies, and it's like I don't get that, because like when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, okay, he did a very good performance. It's a very unique version of Batman, that's different than the others. You know, he has a unique version of Bruce Wayne as well, which is very controversial because I know a lot of people think he should be more of the like, you know, rich playboy kind of version of Bruce Wayne. But you know, I think that's fine. They went for something different here. But yeah, in general, I knew this was going to be a big one. Was going to be the like Robert Pattinson, no, which I still don't understand. You know, you judged it too soon. Also, like you said, I turned it off not even halfway, which means you didn't even watch the entire movie. And, you know, not gonna lie, I don't think it's fair, in my opinion, I don't think it's fair to post a review of a movie that you haven't seen the entire thing of. You know, I would never do that as a movie reviewer, you know, on YouTube. And I know you're just an audience member, not a you know, official reviewer or critic or anything. But like, you're automatically just kind of like, oh, I'm going to turn it off, which, you know, fair enough. If you're watching a movie and you're just really not into it, it's okay to not finish it, whatever. But to then go and review, and here's the thing, you're reviewing the entire movie. When you put a review online, you were essentially saying, this is my thoughts of the entire movie. When you haven't even seen the entire movie, is very, I don't know. And it seems like your only problem with it is that you don't like Robert Pattinson, which I still don't get, but you know, I mean, everybody has their own taste, I guess, which is fine. I don't know. Also, to like rate it this low when you say, "Oh, the visuals are good, the soundtrack is good." Okay, well, then what's your rating system? Your rating system is just, I don't like this actor in it, therefore the movie is 100% at the lowest rating possible. Seems weird. Like, you'd think you'd give it a few extra points in your rating, maybe not like, you know, 5 stars necessarily, but like, you know, a few extra, maybe like a 2 or a 2.5 or something, just to be like, yeah, you know, there are some good things in here, because you literally say in here like, yeah, visuals, yes, soundtrack, yes. Like, I don't understand the idea of like rating something at the lowest rating possible after saying there's a few good things in it. Like, to me, a bottom of the barrel rating, a 1 out of 10, a half of a star rating, right, means there's nothing you liked in it, nothing that's good. Even though apparently to you there's a few things that are good. Like, okay. Too slow, not enough Batman. This doesn't make sense considering the fact that this is probably one of the Batman movies that has more Batman in it than like any other live action Batman movie. You know, some people were even complaining that there wasn't enough Bruce Wayne in the movie, like too much Batman, not enough Bruce Wayne. So this one, I again, like, are you watching the same movie? Batman was in this movie a lot, so I don't know where what you mean by this. This movie was plainly done wrong. This was compared to Jared Leno doing the Joker. It's Jared Leto, not Leno. Poor Robert Pattinson was made a fool of. He looked like Robert Pattinson dressed up in a horrible Batman costume, and his deep voice failed. This movie is a disgrace to the Batman legacy and is not worth the money. In the parts when the scene called the comedic relief, the scene did not even make sense. You could not even make out what they were saying. Robert Pattinson was robbed and lied to that he was good for his role, this role. What a joke of a movie. This one's got a lot to unpack. First off, this movie was plainly done wrong. Seems like a very subjective or objective statement of like, it was just done wrong. You know, like as if that's a fact, which is very strange because again, these are all opinions. Even what I'm saying to refute these guys, even what I'm saying against these comments, are all just my opinions. Um, Next, you say this was comparable to Jared Leto Joker. Again, you spelled his name wrong. It's Jared Leto. Um, but also, I don't know how. I feel like I mean, you know what? I'll let you have that opinion. I still don't know how this Robert Pattinson as Batman can be compared to Jared Leto as the Joker in any way, shape, or form. The performances are extremely different, but whatever. Okay, poor Robert Pattinson was made a fool. So your whole thing here is poor Robert Pattinson thinks he did good in this movie, which is funny. I don't know. It kind of gives me off this feeling of like you're kind of saying that everyone who says that he was good in this movie is just wrong. Not sort of like, because it's one thing to say I didn't like his performance. I thought his performance was bad, but it's okay that other people liked it. But the way you're saying it is making it sound like this is a fact. It was just factually bad and wrong. Um, Something about this. So you're making a comment also about comedic relief down here. I still am not trying to decipher what exactly you're saying. In the parts when the scene called for comedic relief, the scene did not even make sense. I mean, there wasn't even a lot of comedic relief in this movie. It was like little moments like thumb drive and stuff, but like it made sense. I don't know how it didn't make sense. Like it was part of the Riddler's sort of little riddles. It made sense with it to go along with his riddles, and it sort of made sense within the context of what was going on. So I don't know what you mean by this. Um, you could not even make out what they were saying. I don't know if you're talking about one specific part of the movie or anything. I don't know if why you're having issues hearing or telling what they're saying. Maybe the theater you were at had like a bad recording or like a bad speakers. Maybe I don't know, because when I watched it both in the theater and on later on HBO Max, I could tell what the characters were saying very well, very clearly. Um, Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Um, Maybe there was something wrong with the theater you went to, like speakers or something. That's that could be it. Who knows? Um, or well, this says it was posted 17 hours ago, so maybe this is like an at-home viewing. So maybe your speakers at home are like bad or something. Worst Batman ever. I'm sure George Clooney would have something to say about this comment, but I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so I don't necessarily. Okay, so this one I have to get into. So first off, worthless, too long, a Batman movie with 3 hours and 20 minutes of slow pans and chatter with probably 10 minutes of action. Um, First off, it is not. You're saying that it's 2.5 hours. You said 2 hours and 20 minutes of slow pans and chatter with 10 minutes of action, which is a total of 2.5 hours, which is not the runtime of this movie. So you already messed up your review there. But also, like, it's not really an action movie. Like, it has action scenes, but it's not just an action movie. I think it is a crime, crime drama sort of detective story, very much. And a lot of the scenes in this movie, a vast majority of this movie is investigations and detective stuff. So yeah, is there is there not tons and tons of action constantly? No, there's not, but it's not an action movie. If you wanted an action movie, you should have went and saw an action movie. Like I don't but yeah, and then you say worst Batman movie made. No. I want my money back. Well, that's not how theaters work. But yeah, I want my money back. Gonna go watch Batman Forever and the 90s cartoon. I mean, the 90s cartoon is great. I will say that it is great. Batman Forever. To be honest, I can't remember the movie that much. I don't even know if I've seen all of Batman Forever. To be honest, I do want to watch it though. But it's just it's a very different take on Batman. It's very, like I feel like it's one of those things where it's like you watched the trailer, like very obviously in the trailer. Like I don't think the trailer was like misleading you. You wanted this sort of bigger, more fun type of Batman, action packed Batman, like from like Batman Forever or the '90s cartoon. Um, but you saw the trailer. The trailer was very clear of what type of movie this was. I don't know what you were expecting, but whatever. Complete garbage. It's not gritty. I mean, it is. It's not dark. I mean, it is. It tries really hard to be and just sucks for 3 hours instead. Okay, so now you got the proper runtime. You said 3 hours here. Okay, that's what it is. I don't know why you said 3 hours and 20 minutes plus 10 minutes of action. Saying I don't know what like proofread your clearly the proper runtime. So like, proofread your review before you post it, I guess. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here's my favorite comments. Teenage emo Batman. That's the comments I'm looking for. I know. That's what everybody says. First off, Robert Pattinson is at least 30, I'm pretty sure. So not sure about the teenage thing. And the emo thing, I mean, yeah, I guess you could say Batman is a little emo in this. He's a little emo boy, but I mean, it's more complicated than that. Just calling somebody emo and saying that makes it bad is weird to me because, like, I don't know. Does like being, kind of dark, brooding, and controlled by your trauma and all that kind of stuff, sad all the time, does that make a bad character? Because I mean, that's what you mean by emo, right? Like, I mean, but that's kind of what Batman has always been. He's always been kind of dark, brooding, controlled by his trauma, sad all the time, you know, has struggles to make real human connections, that kind of, emo, right? That's what you mean by that, right? So, but that's what the character's always been. So I don't know what you expected. Oh, and I also just want to point out this part of his comment here. And I'm sorry, but shoving cats into cat carriers attached to a motorcycle is probably the most awful thing a person could do to a cat, let alone two. Either there were air holes and the cat got wet as it was raining, or the cat had no way to breathe. Then they're sloshing and sliding all over. When she opens those things, there will be two wet, puke-covered cats wanting to claw her face off. I am certain of that. That is hilarious to me. I didn't even notice that she was carrying cats in a cat carrier in a part of the movie. I guess it was like a small background element that wasn't very, paid attention to. But this person certainly paid attention to it. That's the big comment you're gonna have at the end of your review. Like, that's what really ruined the movie for you. That she carried. That's funny. I don't know. It's just funny to me. Like, the things people really gravitate towards or pay attention or hold on to is funny to me. It doesn't make sense to me, but you know what? You pay attention to the things you pay attention to, and that's fine. It's just funny to me. Okay, so I did have the IMDb scores pulled up and the Metacritic scores pulled up, but I was really thinking about it, and I think Amazon is where I'm going to get some of the most entertaining reviews. Because not gonna lie, Amazon, I've done this before where I've looked at movies I like and looked at Amazon reviews, um, and they're always some of the funniest ones to me. Because first off, they're all pretty much user reviews, no critic reviews, and it's just people complaining about the weirdest things that make no sense. Ooh, this is a great title. So these have like review headers, like titles, and I love this one. I have not seen one of these yet. I knew I'd get it at some point. White privilege ass Men? Okay. Okay. Let's get into this. Another woke nonsense movie that caters to leftist slash liberals, but that's not the dumbest thing of the movie. Okay, so I'll get into the rest of it. So I love I love when people do this because like there's like it's because of little things like the one part where Catwoman says like, oh, the only people they care about in this city are the um white rich privileged people or something like that, you know. Just that one line, which is the generally the whole idea of like it's the fact that the word white was in there, and I think that they're just like the entire movie was just this woke agenda, trying to this leftist agenda. I love those; those are hilarious. And you know what's funny too is some people I've heard made comments about this movie saying something about certain little details of like right wing agenda stuff in the movie. And so it all comes down to your perspective. If you're looking, these people are looking for this wokeness in their movies to be like, haha, see, the Hollywood is controlled by these leftist liberals trying to tell us how to think, and it's just funny to me. Let's get into the rest of it. Why they changed the Riddler's name. Edward Nashton? Are you serious? Edward Nigma fits with him perfectly. So, yeah, I always thought it was weird they changed his name too from Edward Nigma to Edward Nashton, but to me it doesn't matter because it's like he's still the same character whether his last name is the same. It didn't affect my viewing, but some people really like to hold on to little details like that. Like, change this one little detail from the comics and it sucks. It's weird. I know liberals don't understand what enigma means, a mysterious person that's very difficult and or means puzzled, hard to solve. Yeah, I'm sure that all the liberals in charge of this movie didn't know what Nigma meant, because obviously Edward Nigma's name is that because it's supposed to be like Enigma. I'm sure that they didn't understand what that meant, and they were like, let's just change his name. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was. Because the liberals are just too stupid to know what Enigma means. But okay. Um, I think these screenwriters and or producers never read a comic nor watch any animated series of superheroes, which I don't think is true though. From what I saw, from what I've seen from interviews, a lot of the people working on this movie were fans of Batman. Some certain Batman comics, maybe more than others, but at least enough to an extent to understand the character well enough. A lot of them were like talking about their. I saw interviews with people of different people who worked on the movie talking about their favorite Batman comics and stuff. So it's like this is another thing people do. They get one thing off about the comics and they automatically are like, they hate the comics or they don't like the comics. And honestly, historically speaking, Batman movies have been directed by lots of people who have never read Batman comics and knew nothing about Batman. Just look at the '89 Batman. That is extremely far off from the comics. There was a lot of things saying that like Tim Burton was not a Batman fan or a comic book fan and didn't read comics. So like, I mean, this isn't the first Batman movie to have that sort of criticism against it. And actually, I think that movie was probably even way further off of the character from the comics than this one was. But okay, we didn't need another remake of Batman. I mean, we don't need it, but like, if somebody has an interesting story to tell with it, might as well. Like, it's one of those things where like they're going to remake it anyways because he's a popular character. Like, I don't like this idea of like every time they reboot a character, people are automatically on the defensive of like it's gonna be bad because it's a reboot. It's not really a remake. Remake isn't really the right word. I guess the reboot is remake would be like a remaking an exact story. But Anyways, we need Batman Beyond, which would be a retcon sequel to all the Batman movies without any wokeness. How would it be a retcon? Like, are you saying like if they made a Batman Beyond, it would be a retcon sequel to all the Batman movies? Like it's retconning because each Batman, there's a different Batman series that take place in a different continuity. I don't know how making a Batman Beyond would automatically be a retcon, but also it wouldn't have any wokeness. I mean that's the reason to do Batman Beyond because it wouldn't have any wokeness. Um, yeah. Just wait till they, do Batman Beyond, but make Terry McGinnis not white. Watch them do that. Ooh, then there'd be some wokeness in there. Ooh, that'd be a bad opinion. But yeah, no, I'm not against them making a Batman Beyond movie, but that's not the movie they were trying to make. So why it's relevant, I don't know. um, this is one of my favorite reviews of this movie. Just it's like they have little things like again like Catwoman being like, oh, all these white rich people, which she's not wrong in the context of the movie. All the rich people are white. I will say that. Yeah. But yeah, there's also stuff like changing characters' races. Like I'm sure the fact that Jim Gordon was a black man is a big part of this whole woke thing that they're complaining about, or the fact that the mayor candidate, the good mayor candidate, the one that's like a good person who's not corrupt, happens to be a black woman. What? A little bit too woke for me. A character happens to be black or a woman. Guess that means it's woke and pushing a liberal agenda. Oh, these comments are always fun. The Batman was weak and a total pussy. I don't know where you're getting this from. I mean, like, yeah, there were scenes where he was fighting people and he struggled a little bit to beat people up, but he was still physically stronger than and physically, better at fighting than pretty much all the people that he fought. So I don't know what you mean by this. Like, yeah, there was a struggle in the fight, but doesn't that make it more entertaining, right? If there's like a struggle, instead of just him just taking everybody out way too easily, that wouldn't be as entertaining, right? And like I don't know. People just kind of throw out these little phrases, and I don't know where they're getting them from. Like he's weak and a total pussy. Okay, what you mean by that? I don't know. See if you can spot the wokeism. Ooh, yeah. So you can make it like maybe a drinking game, like or like a Where's Waldo situation, maybe of like, where's the wokeism? Ooh, let's spot it. Ooh, um, Catwoman said the word white. Oh, take a shot. Oh, Jim Gordon is black. Take a shot. Oh, look, that one politician who's the really nice one who's not corrupt is a black woman. Take a shot. Actually, two shots because she's not only black but also a woman. So that's two shots. So make a fun drinking game out of finding the wokeisms. Okay, so this one is really long. I am wow. Just look at this is a lot to take in. I don't know if I want to go through it all. It might just be too much. You know what? Let's take it piece by piece. We'll kind of scan through some of it quickly because I don't want to take too much time on this. But oh my gosh, what a pile of blank! If you want a really off the wall version, then this is for you. And spoilers if you haven't seen it. So the trolls keep off my back. Okay. I grew up with the more campy version of Batman with Adam West and Bruce Ward. Bruce Ward? It's Burt Ward. Okay, anyways, continuing. And I loved the campy movies with Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton wasn't that campy, though, was it? Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito. Okay. Okay, so they're talking about Batman Returns. Okay. I even liked the Christian Bale movies, minus the last one, and what they did to Catwoman was wrong. To be honest, yeah, I didn't really like the last one of the Christian Bale movies either. I actually mentioned that in a video I did recently. Halle Berry's Catwoman was far superior to Anne Hathaway. Wow, that's a bold statement. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, anyways. Anyways, this is not even talking about this movie, so let's move on. No fault of the actress. You can only do so much with a badly done. Okay, let's get into the actual movie we're talking about here. What they did here, there are no words for. Well, clearly there's a lot of words for it because just look at this. Sorry to say, but Patterson. I love when people just spell names wrong all the time. It just annoys me. Sorry to say, but Patterson cannot pull off the role. I don't know who Patterson is, but he probably can't. Pattinson, I think, pulled it off. Bruce Wayne is a playboy, and unfortunately for Patterson, they make him look like some emaciated, stringy, pale, wannabe, gothic, lank-haired, basement-dwelling lowlife, and that's being kind. I don't know. I think that makes sense, though. Like, if you're dedicating your life to this whole Batman thing, it makes sense that you'd be a little bit of a reclusive weirdo. They're kind of going a little bit more of a realistic route, honestly. But also, like, a lot of people have said this. It's like maybe the character will grow into that playboy Bruce Wayne persona in future movies. I don't know. It's, a lot of people have this view of like there's only one way to do it, and they didn't do it that way. So it's I don't get it. They turn Alfred into the brains of the operation, which he was to an extent, but Wayne was a genius, has a genius IQ. Um, yeah, but like he still has a lot of very intelligent moments in this thing. Like there's a lot of times where he's like with people investigating, and they're like, "What does this mean?" And he automatically is like, "This is what it means," and he gets it right away. Like he's good at solving these clues. So yes, Alfred helps him with the ciphers and stuff, but ultimately, I think Batman is the one who puts a lot of the pieces together, typically in the movie. And please tell me how you get super cool contacts that video, record, and transmit live images and still get around Gotham on a dirt bike. And that, um, I mean, I don't. I think criticisms like this are weird. Like to me, like the tech aspect of Batman of like, is his tech too advanced? Not enough? I don't know. I don't think it's. I don't mind much. It's a fictional story. It's whatever. You know, like I guess maybe he hasn't seen a need to go out of his way to build like a super advanced high tech motorcycle. I guess yet. I don't. Who knows? It just seems like a weird thing to bring up as like a big point. And that Batmobile was a crying shame. I mean, it was pretty cool. A stripped down old time muscle car, okay, with what looks like a swamp boat fan sized shaped engine on the back of it. I get this is the early Batman, but keep this things consistent with the technology being used. You know, I didn't see a big issue with just the technology. So basically what he's saying is like, oh, he got this advanced like eye technology, camera technology. So why isn't the other technology advanced? Maybe he hasn't taken the time to do it. I don't know. Weird nitpick. Um, as for the stunts and such, only Superman can throw off bullets at point blank range and keep going. I mean, that was a little weird, but there are a lot of versions of Batman where his suit is like bulletproof. There are other versions, and it just sometimes that's the way Batman is. They knock him back and stuff. They just whatever. I don't know. I don't care of what layer of armor you're wearing. It would take a normal human at least several minutes to get up from a single point blank range shot to the chest. Granted, we are talking about Batman here, but come on, let's get real. Again, this is a comic book movie. I don't know. I guess my suspension of disbelief is just a little bit higher than some people, maybe. Speaking of real, the director and choreographer could not for the life of him slash her stage a fight. You say him slash her, like you can look up who the person is to know whether it's him or her if you really wanted to, of who the choreographer is. Stage a fight. Patterson's, I still love that he keeps saying Patterson, even though it's Pattinson. Patterson's director and choreographer need to go back to school. Wow. I mean, the fight scenes were good. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I mean, I'm not an expert in fighting and fight choreography, but looked fine to me. It was entertaining at least. He slash she makes him look like a 3-year-old flailing in the air to throw a punch. Like, isn't that even like? I don't know where people are getting like. I didn't get that at all. I don't know where people are getting this. Even Keaton, Clymer, he means Kilmer, Clymer and Clooney appear to deliver better looking shots in suits they could barely move in. Bale by far being the best. Well, not in Batman Begins. The fight scenes were just too quick cut. You couldn't tell what's going on. But yeah, maybe in like the next few they were pretty good. But I don't see a huge difference in the fighting. Like I think the fighting was generally similar type of, good fighting. I don't know. Maybe this person really knows fighting very well and fighting choreography and noticed things that I didn't. Maybe. Catwoman was a travesty. Okay. I know a lot of people don't like Catwoman in this movie for some reason. This person is actually giving an explanation. This is one thing I will say about this person. This person is giving explanations for their claims. They're claiming a negative thing about it, and they're like, here's examples. I don't agree with them, but at least they're doing that. A lot of the other people won't even do that. That's why this review is so long. The character herself is not an evil, murdering criminal. Okay. But far from let me help you out here, sing kumbaya together, shades of light gray, bad guy they come up with here. I mean, I feel like a lot of the history of Catwoman always had a lot of more of a morally gray character where, she wasn't necessarily a murderer. Like she wouldn't not kill, but she didn't go. Her goal wasn't to kill people, or it was more to fight against sort of the Gotham elites kind of, or the corrupt rich people kind of, steal from the rich, give to the poor kind of views maybe. Which I think is very much shown in this movie. And clearly she's okay with killing in this movie. You say like she's not a murdering criminal. Well, there were plenty of spots in this movie where she was about to kill people. So not sure what that is getting at. Also, there's a lot of versions of the character that are not like full-on villains. There are some that are, but there's a lot that aren't. Like, I don't think it's, necessarily a bad way to go with the character. Oh, and her being the love child of the king mobster, and let's not forget the kissing with Batman with zero plot buildup or sexual tension. Well, I would say as far as like the plot buildup, I can see sexual tension. I was saying this earlier. I think you can see a little bit of that sexual tension from the first time they see each other. They're kind of giving each other these looks of like, you know. Now, as far as like character, a good sort of like character connection, maybe not, but I think that was maybe what they were going for, was more that they have this nice like sexual tension, and that's all there is to their relationship, I guess. Or the bad ski mask, cut out with knobby ears, and the bike chains she flails around. Yeah, I mean, the mask was a little weird to me. I feel like they could have given her a more traditional looking Catwoman mask. I don't know. But, I mean, it's not like a huge issue for me. It's just like a little like, oh, that looks kind of weird. I was waiting for the bad goggles from the video game. Oh, were you? I don't know what about this movie made you think she was going to do that. But all right. In ranking of portrayals, Julie Newmar. I don't know who that is. Maybe she did an animated one? I don't know. Michelle, or no, maybe was she the old one? Like from the old series? Actually, she probably was. Michelle Pfeiffer, Halle Berry, who also had superior directors and character development to work with. You're saying the Halle Berry movie had better directors and character development to work with? You sure about that? I don't. That's a very bold claim. Wow. Okay. It's one thing to say her performance as the character is better, but like to say superior directors and character development, that's a very different claim to make. The Riddler. Okay, let's see what's wrong with the Riddler. I think they wanted to use the Joker because the Riddler was never a cold-blooded, thought-out murderer. I mean, there's probably versions where he was. I mean, again, I'm not an expert, but whatever. Okay. You get in his way, sure, bang, you're dead. But he was a thief, a nutter with delusions of grandeur. I mean, he definitely has that a little bit in here. But they changed his motivation a little bit. But I mean, as far as like the riddle things go, this character, I think the Riddler fit well because they were going for the Zodiac killer kind of thing with like the riddles that you have to piece together to try to solve what's going on, which fit very well with the Riddler. Wouldn't have fit as well with the Joker. This guy is certainly insane, but the whole "I'm doing this for the exposure of corruption and perceived injustice to myself and others" isn't his shtick. It's not even the Joker's. Yeah, so why did you bring up the Joker here? I don't know what your Joker comparison is. Clearly, you don't even think there's a Joker comparison. Um, Murder in some sick ways, sure, but to expose corruption, only if the plot is ultimately disguise a supermassive bank robbery or something. So what they're saying is Riddler should only serve as a character who's like a big, bank robber type character, and that's it. I don't know. That seems weird to me. Like, if that's all you do, then how can you make him a main villain of your movie if that's all you're going to do with the character? Because, if your main villain of a Batman movie is just a big bank robber guy, like, that's boring. That just seems like a weird thing for, like, maybe for, like, a quick one-off Batman story, like, for an episode of a show or, like, a comic. But for a feature-length film, that would just not work very well. So if you want to use the Riddler as a main villain of a live action movie, it makes sense to adjust his motivations a little bit. Something that's been done with a lot of characters in the past for comic book movies. Their motivations have been adjusted. That happens all the time. I think sometimes people are a little too set on what the comics did with the character, and they're not open to new things. And let's not talk about the Joker's line at the end. Riddle me this. I'm sure someone will give the "oh, it's alluding to XYZ, whatever it fell flat." You know, I think that's one of the things I dislike about the movie the most is that scene. I think that scene was a little weird, like, oh, let's hint towards this guy being the Joker. I can understand people disliking that. That's like one of the main things I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's not a huge issue to me because it's only one quick little scene. It's not like a whole big thing in the movie, so I think it's fine. The only thing the movie did moderately well was the visual look of the Penguin. I mean, I agree, it was good. The facial prosthetics used, you could see a penguin visage there. Most of the time, his character wasn't too bad, but then he went stupid silly. That didn't fit the character. I so want my money and time back. I won't be watching it if this combination of talent is put together again for another Batman movie. I'm sure this is some weird twist of a comic/graphic novel version of Batman, but yet make an animated movie out of it and call it done. Well, and with that, I think I am ready to call this video done. So, big takeaways I have from this. People don't like how long the movie is. Some people claim that it's longer than it is. You know, we should make a woke drinking game out of this movie. I think that would be great. That'd be fun. And yeah, Robert Patterson would not make a good Batman. I don't know. He hasn't been hired to play Batman, so we'll never know. Robert Pattinson was, but Patterson, no. I'm honestly surprised that I didn't get more of the Twilight guy is in this. What the heck? Because I definitely did see some comments on like YouTube videos saying that before I even saw the movie. So I was expecting more of that, but I only really got like one that even mentioned Twilight. I'm pretty sure. which is interesting. So that's actually kind of a positive side. But anyways, thanks for watching this video. Let me know what you think. This is the first time I've ever done a video like this. I thought it would be a fun thing to do. In the future, I'm going to do probably other movies that I love more, maybe more classic ones. Maybe some like some of my favorite movies of all time, like maybe The Empire Strikes Back, maybe Fight Club. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I end up doing. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of this movie. I mean, if you don't like it, let me know why. Actually, if you have more well put together reasons than some of these people, then please let me know. Because you know what, my opinion is not gospel. My opinion is not perfect. So help me out here with some of your opinions. Anyways, that's about all for this video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Goodbye.